If you're planning a move to the Raleigh, North Carolina area, one of the questions you are probably asking yourself right away is, should I rent for a while when I get to Raleigh, or should I go ahead and buy a house? Hello everyone, this is Chris Morton, real estate broker with the Morton Bradbury Real Estate Group. On today's video, we're going to tell you all about the pros and cons of renting a home when you get to Raleigh versus buying a home straight away as soon as you get here. We're also going to give you a twist on some specific things that are happening in the Raleigh area that may influence your decision. But please know right off the bat that if you plan to rent first, after watching this video decide renting is the best course of action for you, my team and I have a list of short-term rentals we are happy to provide you to make that process a little bit easier. Just simply email us at hello@mortonbradbury.com or click on one of the links below and we're happy to help you out. So first, let's start out with the pros of renting a home. Well, it allows you to make an informed decision. You're able to come to the Raleigh area, rent a property of some kind, and then go out and explore around, decide what's the best fit for you neighborhood-wise, home-wise, all of that sort of thing. The next pro of renting is it takes a lot of the stress away from that relocation process. You're able to get here, find yourself a temporary house, something that's not necessarily something you have to have perfect, and then go about the process of finding that ideal house for you. The whole move from one town to another can be really, really stressful, and when you take a lot of the stress of the house hunting away, it makes it a lot easier. The next pro of renting, if you don't have a job already, it's probably a good idea to rent a home versus buying, because what happens if you decide to rent on the eastern side of Wake County and your dream job comes up in Chapel Hill? Well, that's a 45-minute one-way drive, probably not the best course of action. So if you are up in the air about what your job situation is going to be like, then maybe renting is a very good pro for you. The next pro of renting versus buying, the cost to get into your rental is going to be less than the cost of getting into your home that you're going to buy. You're not going to have to worry about closing costs, down payment, inspection costs, all of that sort of thing. With a rental, all you have is security deposit and you're in. And another pro of renting, it allows you some flexibility. If when you get to Raleigh, you can't find the ideal home to purchase, renting is a very good option. It gives you the time to wait for a really good home to come on the market. We are still sitting in a tremendous deficit of amount of homes we should be having on the market right now. We're literally sitting around 3,800 homes in the entire 4 big counties of the Raleigh area right now. We should be sitting somewhere around 11,000, 14,000. So it's somewhat difficult to find your ideal home. By renting, you can kind of put that off and search slowly. So what about the cons of renting before you buy? Well, one of the big ones is if you don't know where you're going to buy a home, it's kind of hard to decide what of your current items that you have in your current house you need to bring with you. It's kind of all up in the air, and that can definitely add a little bit of stress to decide what you should bring, what you shouldn't bring. And along those same lines, another con, if your rental is smaller than your current home, you're certainly going to have to put a lot of your things in storage. That means you're going to pay a storage bill, which is even more money coming out of your pocket that was going to go towards that down payment and closing costs I talked about a few minutes ago. That's money that you're going to be losing and throwing down the drain. Another con of renting first, you may feel like you're living out of a suitcase. If you've got a ton of your stuff in storage, you've got limited amount of things in your rental property, you may feel kind of a little uncomfortable and out of ease, and that's definitely something I would feel. If I didn't have all of my things around me and was in a routine, I would get a little bit of out of joint, and that may very well be a big con for you as well. The next con of renting first, it's expensive to rent in the Raleigh area. According to rent.com, rents have gone up 24% year over year. That's some crazy numbers. So it might not make financial sense to rent a home first. We recommend, if you're on the fence and can't quite decide what to do, talk to a mortgage broker. They may be able to give you an idea based on your specific situation, what's going to be the best fit for you, if you should be throwing money away on a rental or if you should take the chance on purchasing a home. And as always, if you don't have a list of mortgage people that you know to talk to, feel free to contact us. We're happy to supply you a list, absolutely no obligation, of mortgage people we know and trust and do a really good job for our folks. Another con of renting first in the Raleigh area, it's unfortunately very difficult to save enough money for that down payment in our area if you just sit on the sidelines and rent for a while. Homes have appreciated over 30% in the last 2 years alone in the Raleigh area. That makes it very, very difficult for people to jump into the buyer pool if they were sitting on the sidelines. We had a number of people come to us in 2020 who decided we're just gonna rent for a while, save up some money and wait for the market to correct itself, and then we're gonna get to buy a house. Unfortunately for them, their house they were gonna be able to afford to buy for $250,000, $300,000 is now a $450,000 house, and they've been unfortunately priced out of the market. Don't try to spend $2025 with your $2023. If you are fiscally able and it makes sense for you to buy a house now, it's probably a good idea to buy on this issue alone. Another con of renting first is you're gonna end up having to move twice. And yes, it's probably gonna be from one part of Raleigh or one part of Cary to the other part, but that's still a stressful thing to have to deal with. The moving process takes up a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money. You're gonna have to hire movers twice or move yourself twice, and then you gotta get out of storage and all of that sort of thing. So definitely bear that in mind. Another big con, if you have school-aged children, renting may not be a really good idea for you because you will be having to pull them out of school and put them in their new school. That causes a lot of disruption, a lot of stress on kids' lives, and of course that's going to escalate into stress on your life as well. Another con, if you are planning to rent first instead of buy and you have pets, it may be difficult to secure a rental property with pets, especially if you have multiple pets. This is a fairly big issue in our area. A lot of rentals do not allow pets, so it really limits you to what you can rent, and of course you're subject to the extra rental costs and the extra security deposits and whatnot that you'd have with pets. So what are the cons of buying a home when you first arrive to Raleigh versus renting? Well, the first big con is you'll have to make a really, really important decision without a lot of information. Basically, you're going off of your data that you can find on the internet and decide what area is good for you, and that's really kind of a scary situation. That's why we always recommend to everyone that we talk to, get yourself a really good professional real estate broker to help you in this process. With our clients, we take it even a step further. We have a buyer needs questionnaire that we send to everyone right off the bat. It helps identify the person's buyer wants, needs, and don't want to have in a house, and that helps us help them zero in on the ideal situation for them. We then take it a step further, incidentally, and recommend instead of coming on the first trip to buy a house, we recommend they come and do an exploratory trip where they just go around the different cities and areas and downtowns to really, really hone in on what they really, really like, because let's face it, what you see on the internet as far as a website goes about a certain town or downtown may be completely radically different than what you see in person. And the next con of buying a house beyond having to make a relatively uninformed decision is the higher upfront costs. We've talked about this earlier. With a purchase of a home, you're going to have to pay closing costs, down payment, inspections, all of these sort of things. These are costs that if you haven't budgeted for them or prepared for them, that's a big deal. Again, with a rental, all you have is a security deposit. Probably going to be a little bit easier to get into a rental versus into a purchase of a home. So what about the pros of buying a home first instead of renting? Well, you're definitely going to know and have an idea based on when you make that purchase of what of your items that you currently have in your current home that you'll be able to bring to the new home. You'll be able to have a floor plan and work around that with room sizes and all of that sort of thing. Our team actually goes out. If a client is confused or isn't sure about the size of a room, we'll go out and measure it again for them and videotape that space so they'll have a really, really good idea of what of their current furniture they can bring and what they have to leave behind. The next big pro of buying first, you won't be throwing away all that down payment money on rent and storage unit costs. Those costs can really, really add up, and they will eat into your budget very, very quickly. Add into that having to pay a moving company or move yourself with a U-Haul twice, and that cost can really, really escalate. The next big pro of buying first, you can have all of your items delivered directly to your house and move one time, again as we've mentioned, versus having to put some of your stuff in storage and then take it out of storage and bring it to your new house. It's a big hassle, it's a big stress. If it's something you can avoid, we recommend you avoid it. The next big pro of buying a home is you have a sense of home. You have that stability and that security. That's good for people like me that like to be be in a routine and get stressed out with change. Also good for your pets because they don't like the stress of change, and also good for kids if you have kids. They certainly don't like the stress of moving. And again, speaking of those school-aged kids, another pro, and we've talked about it a little bit in this video, they're not going to have to move twice, uproot them from their school, their new friends, to their new school with their new friends they're going to have to make on possibly the other side of town or another county. Another pro of buying now versus waiting and renting is, if you work with us, we're able to video homes to give you an even better idea of what you have as your options before you even buy a home. Our agents will go out, if you find a home that you really like in a certain city, a certain neighborhood, our agents will go out and video that for you by walking through the house with their phones. We'll upload that to YouTube to a private channel so only you have access to it, and you'll be able to look that home over in the convenience of your current home, decide if it's ideal for you, and really take a lot of that stress and anxiety off of your shoulders. As well, with buying a home, you're going to have some massive tax advantages versus renting a home. Definitely talk with an accountant about it, but there's certain deductions you can take when you own a home versus just renting. So, what makes better sense for you? Well, you're better off to rent if you fall in the following criteria. You need to move quickly and you do not have time to explore the area. You just can't afford a property right now that meets your requirements. Another one, you don't have any school-aged children. You are coming to Raleigh without your new job. You don't know where you're going to land employment-wise, so you want to have that flexibility in case you decide that you find the ideal job on the other side of the county. It's better off to buy a home if you've watched all of our videos, you're really comfortable with what areas of the triangle you really want to move to, and you've probably taken an exploratory trip to narrow it down even further. It's definitely recommended you buy first. If you found the home of your dreams, you have the finances to be able to afford it, and your situation is ideal for you to buy a home now, then you should definitely buy that ideal home now. Definitely buy a home if you have a larger family and you also have pets. This scenario is very difficult to find a rental property that's going to work for your budget and accommodate your very large family with pets. Definitely buy now if you have school-aged children and you found the ideal school for them and you found the ideal home or a couple of homes in that school district for them. Definitely that is a good indication you need to buy a home now versus renting. And definitely want to consider strongly buying versus renting if you have a lot of personal items and you do not want the hassle of putting them in storage or bringing them to you to a small apartment or house. This especially goes for people that have very fancy, nice, expensive antiques. You want to be very careful of those things and move them as few times as you possibly can. So if you've decided renting is right for you after this, please contact my team. We have a list of short-term rental properties we're happy to provide you that we hope will be of help and make your transition from where you are to the Raleigh area that much easier. And if you're considering a move into or out of the Raleigh area, my real estate team and I would love to be your agents of choice. You can email us at hello@mortonbradbury.com, call us on the phone number down below, or click on the link in the description to get things started. Check out this video. We think you're really going to like this video as well. Like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.